community garden really is, I think that's really was ticking a lot of boxes for me. So if you don't mind telling me a little bit about your role in your initiative and how you got involved with it.
So I had a Global Action Plan Ireland. We're a environmental behavior change charity based in Ballymun, like you said. And we work with community groups and schools and businesses all over Ireland, but predominantly in the Greater Dublin area. But yeah, we as an organization, we were born in Ballymun, and we're proud to come from that community. We were set up by a group of local people who were really committed to issues like recycling and anti-litter and fair trade. And Ballymun became the first fair trade town in Ireland, thanks to that group of people. So we've grown significantly since those early days, but our focus and our ethos has always been on social inclusion. A community like Ballymun has its share of challenges, and we have designed all our programs around social inclusion. And what that looks like, there's a couple of ways in that, how that translates into a reality. Even our work with companies ultimately is about this issue that people feel that individual action or local action doesn't work. You know, when faced with global challenges such as poverty, biodiversity loss, climate change, these are really big issues, really complex issues. They're overwhelming, and they're fundamentally disempowering. So people feel, oh, it's a serious issue. I'd love to know, I'd love to do something about it, but surely little me cannot make a significant difference. And that's what all our programs are about. And I think it is because of that ethos of coming from a underprivileged, or like we like to say, underestimated community, where people are used to being disempowered. So we really work on that first thing, that thing first. So how to get people to discover that they actually do hold the key to social change, to societal change. So you mentioned the community garden. That's one. But we've other programs as well. But all of them are infused by that fundamental logic that it's to help unleash the power that people have.
Would you have a lot of experience working with food education specifically so far? It's probably more, I'm assuming there's probably more things that you're doing other than the gardens.
Yeah, so we did in the past run a program called, what did we call it? Well, it was about food waste essentially. But yeah, the gardens, I think, are the core really. So there are community gardens all over Ireland, but ours are quite unique, I think, because we do grow vegetables, etc., but it's almost as a byproduct of what we do there, and the main product is social inclusion. So we've 2 community gardens in the Dublin region, and what they do is they invite people to just come to the garden, irrespective of their ability, age, background, etc. So the people that we welcome there and that we have visiting there are like their school children from the local schools, or their local community groups. So, for instance, in Ballymun we have regular visitors from St. Michael's House, St. Vincent's, the CRC, and local youth groups as well. So we make arrangements for them to come for a specific time of day each week. But we also have an awful lot of individuals who just come, and they come for a great variety of reasons. Some of them come because they're long-term unemployed. They just want to feel useful, and they want to feel part of society. Others come for mental health reasons. They just need a little bit of access to a green space in the city. Others just come for, the feeling that they're part of something, or because they want to learn how to grow your own food. So
Yes.
the gardens provide that space for all of those different needs.
Yes.
But what I like to say is that, like when you're looking at behavior change, you need to work on, there's a knowledge gap that needs to be bridged. So it's knowledge.
Mm.
It's also about opportunity and motivation. So, with workshops, etc., you can work on the knowledge gap and a bit on the motivation thing, but you need to also give people an opportunity to try out alternative behaviors. With environmental behavior, you need to be given the information, but you also need to be given a space to experiment safely, and that's what the gardens
Yes.
do. You can learn stuff there about how to grow a tomato plant, but also you learn then that the tomatoes are only ripe at a certain time of the year. So therefore, when you buy a tomato in January, it has to have come from somewhere else. So there's the knowledge part, but there's also the motivation and the opportunity part. So by me growing my own food, I realize that actually that there are where food comes from, what nutrition is,
Yeah.
why it's good to have, what goes into that plant to make it grow, um, why it's important for me not to buy strawberries from Chile, in the middle of the winter,
Of course.
etc. So, the gardens are really that hub where, because we bring people together, but we can actually let people discover, they develop a relationship with food. Um,
Yes.
the people from Grow It Yourself, they call that food empathy, and I think that's a nice term. They by understanding what food is and where it comes from and what healthy food is, you automatically will change your diet. You will start to eat more vegetables because you know where they come from. You've grown them yourself. You'll start experimenting with food that you've never eaten before.
Yeah.
So I call growing food a doorway to the solution to large issues like climate change and biodiversity loss.
Right. So, like, would you find that a lot of, like, I know you mentioned the youth groups and that, but the target groups, would you find that there's a lot of, like, I'm just trying to think in terms of the Ballymun area and the Blanchetown area and stuff. Would you have a lot of the likes of refugees there, or yeah, I'm
Yeah,
assuming,
the
and would they
vast
use
majority
it?
of our individual refugees, individual volunteers, are asylum seekers. A lot of the refugees that we have are in direct provision centres.
Ah, okay,
So,
yes,
for mental health reasons, it's really important,
yes,
but also just for their food. They're being given this standard hotel food that,
yeah,
after 2 days, you're sick of it. And it's not culturally appropriate for them. So
no,
what we do is we organize intercultural barbecues in the gardens.
yes,
So we buy the food, so that, we get a shopping list from the asylum seekers, and then we let them prepare their own food, and then we celebrate we have people from Africa, Asia,
yes,
all over the place, and we celebrate the diversity of their cuisines. So it's also an intercultural learning,
yes, that's
but again,
fabulous.
also it's about celebrating the importance of food for all of us in our identities. Well, to be honest, it's been really successful. I think the Ballymun Garden has been around for 12 years, 13 years,
Okay,
so that is well established, and it's right in the community. So you get a lot of passers-by. The Blanchardstown Garden is a bit further physically from where people live. So one
okay,
challenge we have there is access. People, it's a 12-minute walk from the nearest bus stop, so
mm,
that means that younger people find it harder to get there with their smaller legs. Um, People usually in disability services, they are okay. They usually have transport, so they can come closer to the garden. So that's one challenge. Obviously, funding is a challenge forever.
yeah,
Both our gardens, we don't own the land. It's the one is being given to us by the university, the other by the local church. So obviously that's a risk factor.
Yeah.
One day that land might be sold.
Yeah, or taken back for
But
some other reason.
overall, the challenges, there have been very few challenges. I mean, the biggest challenges we had is that there were so many asylum seekers coming that we had to find a way to stagger them, that they couldn't, the place is only half an acre. So
Wow, yeah.
you can't have hundreds of people there at the same time. So we made an arrangement earlier. You mentioned the Rediscovery Centre. There's other community gardens in the Ballymun area. So we basically made an arrangement with all of them saying, well, look, if we take people on a Tuesday, can you take them on the Wednesday, etc. So that, I think, success has been one of the biggest challenges.
Yeah, and it's a great solution.
Really.
Yeah, you're a victim of your own success in a way, which is amazing. What would you feel, so in the target groups that you're seeing coming in, would you see much of a improvement in terms of their educational environment, or like kind of success stories in their broader community?
Yeah, a couple of points there. Last year we asked two researchers from the TU Dublin to come to our garden in Ballymun, and if you haven't seen it, I can send it to you. They did a sort of evaluation of the garden.
Oh, lovely.
Asking people, why are you here? What are you getting out of it, etc. And what it showed was that people come for a huge variety of reasons, but that all of them find something of great value there. So, how do you measure the impact? I measure it by stories. If people tell me that they're getting something out of the garden, that's enough. I remember like a decade ago or so, we would have measured the success of the garden in terms of the numbers of kilograms of harvest we had. I dropped that. I don't think that's relevant. What is relevant, and even if it's one person, and I remember 2 years ago, I met a woman in the garden and I asked her, why are you here? And she said, it's the only place where my head is quiet. And I thought, well, that to me is success. The other thing is, what is nice, once you have the garden, you can use it for events. So we host workshops for other programs that GAP runs, but we've used the physical space of the garden. So we do workshops on the SDGs, we do workshops on well-being, and on climate, etc. So it is a space for learning as well, or we can use. So in those programs, we do measure learning outcomes. But there's also informal stuff, like a lot of people, as I said, are international protection applicants. When they first come to the garden, their organic farming is, on the one hand, natural to them, but on the other hand, is not a concept that they're familiar with. So many of them feel, you need to bring order to nature. So the first thing they want to do is take the lawnmower out and get rid of all the stinging nettles.
Yeah.
And we're going, no, they're there for a reason. We like stinging nettles.
Yes.
And we like weeds. We want to feed the birds with the snails that are all over the place. So we're not chasing away the birds to protect our harvest. So there's a really sort of an ad hoc learning there all the time. What does it mean to run a organic garden?
Would you have any advice to other educators looking to do something similar in their settings, or how to set up something similar?
Setting up a community garden is hard and takes an awful lot of money. I think the success that we've had is because we have part-time professional horticulturists running the thing.
Okay.
And that makes it expensive, of course, but you see a lot of community gardens, and every community initiative goes through peaks and troughs, when the community group is at a low. By having a employed person there, we ensure a certain amount of stability. We also ensure that there is the know-how to do it well. And therefore also, I should have mentioned that in the garden we run workshops on how to run a community garden,
Oh, wow.
And occasionally our gardeners have also gone out to other people's community gardens to provide technical advice. And I think that is really important if you are setting up a garden, just to seek that technical advice. How do I do the layout? Where do I put my vegetable beds? How do I,
Yeah.
all of. So that's one. I think the other is we are great believers in outdoor education. So also in our schools program, we do workshops inside schools, but every opportunity we get, we take the kids out.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah.
A program called
Hands-on.
Biodiversity Stewardship. So we take school kids out into the local park or into any sort of little green space, and we let them discover, issues like, well, who owns this place? Who manages it? What does it mean to look after a green space? Who's living here? What is living here? And how can we protect it, etc. So outdoor education, whether that's in a community garden or in a park or anywhere. We also take them to Bull Island in Dublin.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Just to get them to
years ago.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's important that people understand that everything in nature hangs together and that we're part of it. We're not separate from it. So I think outdoor education spaces are essential for young and old, and that's why I love it that we are able to use the other programs that we do with the community groups all over Ireland, and
Yes.
but try and use that build that in the garden as well.